Well, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all feeling blessed and staying safe in this mad world. Welcome to another edition of Rome's Drama Zone. I'm having actually a little coffee here. And it's actually morning where I'm at. So, hey, pull up a chair, and strap on your seatbelt. It's gonna be a very bumpy ride, and as my title suggests, or the thumbnail, or wherever you may have found out about it, it's about to get a little hot and heavy in here. Trigger warning for any folks before we go any further. I also wanted to say that I know both victims and survivors of domestic violence and abuse, and SA, and grape, and we will also be discussing the motives of poop play. I can understand if you want to shut the video off now. This is definitely not for children. And I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. But I want to dedicate this definitely to those who have been affected, both men and women, or anyone in general who has been affected by any of these topics, directly or indirectly. So, I'm definitely glad to be back, but not under these circumstances. Someone had to say something, though, and Foodie Beauty, we know she says a lot of stupid things. And just when you think she couldn't get any more ignorant, it's something new. But I'll let you be the judge of that. Shout out to Slashed by Sandy. You might want to check out her channel. She's got a ton of video compilations of terrible, horrible, horrifying vacations.
A few years ago, a handful of influencers came forward and said that their lives turned upside down after receiving messages on social media from men asking for them to fly out to Dubai and have a good time with them. A lot of these girls were extremely happy and they agreed to take the trips, but they didn't know what was going to happen in their future. In order to receive these gifts and the money, some of these girls were asked to do strange things with animals. They were asked to eat or bathe themselves in really strange substances. It was also really common for them to be showered in another strange substance. Some of these girls were too disgusted to do any of these activities and were stuck, basically stranded in Dubai with no way home because they couldn't afford their tickets back. Other girls were extremely pleased with the actions. They said that what they did was worth every penny. Others said that the trip left them traumatized. They suffer from PTSD because of what they had to go through while on this vacation.
I bet.
Dubai porta potties aren't just Dubai porta potties. The more you know.
Think about that.
I was offered $100,000 to go on a brand trip to Dubai, and here's why I backed out of it last minute, because I found out some really disturbing details about a year ago. I got a message from a very prominent modeling agency on my social media. They reached out to me and told me that they are in charge of organizing trips for models to go to several hot locations. Basically, they told me that it is an all expenses paid trip. They will actually give you money in addition to the trip. They will fly you out business class class, put you in one of the most luxury hotels in Dubai. And I was like, this sounds too good to be true. I mean, I'm not even that hot, so I don't understand why I was being asked to do this. But if you guys know anything about me, you know, I was on 90 Day Fiance, and I did go pretty viral about a year and a half, 2 years ago for selling a certain something in jars. So I'm curious, but at the same time, I'm like,
If anybody's wondering, she was selling farts in a jar.
I don't want to be trafficked, so I start looking into this agency. I go through their follower list and who their clients are, and I quickly come to realize that they have some very, very famous models. One of the girls, I remember, she had a ton of plastic surgery. This is where everything completely changed for me. I decided to put her name into Twitter, and things started to pop up. On this girl's Twitter feed were all these pictures of her in Dubai on luxury yachts in the most beautiful apartments you can imagine, in shopping malls holding very expensive designer handbags. As I kept scrolling, I stumbled upon a very shocking video. It was a video of her laying on a bed, and a man was doing a certain something on top of her.
And I don't think we need to go any further to know what that is. And thank goodness for this young lady that she did not degrade herself so much. But is this what Salad the Freak creep? I mean, is this what got him motivated into these things? Like, is it ingrained in the culture or something? Because it seems to be, you know, with a lot of Arabic men, if you type it in, Arab men and scat play on Google, holy moly. I mean, I can't even mention the titles because they were that derogatory, that degrading. It was purely disgusting, some of the stuff I read, and some of these sites that you can supposedly look up. But, I mean, you know, take a look at what comes behind that. That degradation, it has to do with a lot of power. And, you know, obviously he's very manipulative. And if you really think about it, you know, manipulation is a form of abuse as well. And I see them both, technically, they both abuse each other. Whether he does it with his little threats, you know, lies, whatever you do. There's many forms of abuse, which is, you know, the main topic of this video, because, you know, some people fail to realize that psychological abuse is a real thing. And, you know, when it comes to grape, we're not going to talk about too much about that. The only thing I really wanted to say about that is that the only people I know that were ever into that are people that have had something happen to them. I remember this one female, and she, for some reason, wanted me to simulate a certain fantasy. And I felt very uncomfortable. I could not follow through with that. It is not a turn on. And I'm sorry, I can't see myself doing something that people have gotten hurt over and, you know, unalived, doing these things and been involved in these situations, including, I mean, especially grape. And, you know, I just couldn't do it. It's not me. It's not, I don't know. It's just gross and disgusting. If you're into that, I'm sorry, you need some kind of help. There's a deep psychological issue that you're not dealing with. And, you know, for me, the only reason Foodie Beauty continues to bring up all these body functions, you know, people have said it. It's the fact that Salad, the Freak, gets turned on. when he's even talking about people farting on tile floors, and everything's involved, always involves him putting his foot on someone's head, which again is another power thing, power dynamic. He thinks he's so tough. Okay, this has been ingrained in his brain that men there, it's like women are nothing to Arab men, at least most of them. Sadly, I know a few Arab men who are very good to their wife. Maybe because they live here, they've separated from the culture. They still practice their religion, but they're not as traditional or old-fashioned, I guess you could describe it as. But, man, it's so much when you talk about this. You can't just put it simply into a few words here. This is a very disgusting thing. I don't know. Like I said, a porta potty is, when just like the other woman described it, it's not what you think it is. A porta potty has a different meaning. It's men and, or whatever, even women, whatever anybody's into. People doing something, it said on you or in you. And that's just way out of my league. Yeah, I have no more words for that. And now to get on to the real topic and the real issue.
The fact that you guys, listen, do I need to really point out the difference? Did Beck have cigarettes put out on her? Was she punched in the face? She had to wipe an ass. Like, that's my gut instinct to just run away from things when I fight. Let's just run away.
One time, Amber, Eric, Ricky, and I were watching Adventure Time, and Eric changed the channel without asking. Amber, even though she did not like Adventure Time, and even though it was Eric's TV, had a huge blow-up. I'd had enough, and I left without grabbing my wallet, my bra, or shoes. I drove an hour to my sister's and showed up at her doorstep barefoot and crying. I just wanted to escape.
Furthermore, I didn't make a friggin' 30-part series about it after. 3 years after. I haven't talked about the swordfish.
Lies, lies, and more lies. You talk about Natturd, as you refer to him, or whatever, any chance you get, and you compare Salad the Freak to him. You've done it on numerous occasions.
In a long time.
Long time. What, you mean in the last day? Or two? Or a week?
I didn't lie for revenge, but I exaggerated it. I did.
And didn't I say, I think if I didn't mention it before, I'm saying it now. I know for a fact that she was not abused as she claims. I think she was the abuser. Not to say that there was no, or more of the abuser, I'm sorry. Because it's obvious he was very controlling. So there was definitely something there. But not to the extremes where she took it with this cigarettes being put out. Whatever.
When it was happening, though, that's when I did it. That's when I did it. That's when I outed the abuse. I actually watched those live streams. The one where I dropped him at the pharmacy because he was...
And have you noticed anytime somebody brings something up? Oh, I watched that. I went back and I looked it up and shut up.
Screaming.
How convenient.
And almost hitting me in the car because I wanted to be alone for therapy. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to compare abuse. Because
The fact that you're sitting there being a pick-me of abuse is weird. You're trying to invalidate someone else's abuse. There is no worse. It's all the actual same. I don't care what you think. You're an idiot.
Sorry, but I fail to hear any abusive behavior from Beck's stories that I've heard, other than embarrassing hygiene moments.
Even you're, controlling behavior. Don't try to make it seem that's still bad. But what I was saying earlier is it's not as extreme. Okay? But still, abuse is abuse. The controlling behavior from that turd is abuse. So, abuse is abuse is abuse. Like a drug is a drug is a drug. Same concept. Don't get it twisted, people.
So,
I had to negotiate with him for me to come here and help Pete, or to come back.
And this is what I, like I said, mainly wanted to address, because I know so many people that were psychologically, mentally, they didn't have to have somebody put their hands on them to be completely miserable and ruined. Kind of like how you are now. Except most of the misery that you go through, you place on yourself, and you place yourself in these situations. That's the crazier part, that yet you go back to the same lifestyle.
Back home at all.
I would spend all my time in the same room with her.
And this is why you need help. In so many ways, for so many reasons. You are beyond the normal way of thinking.
Outside of bathroom breaks, and any time I would leave to get food or see my family. There were a lot of times where she would keep me from seeing them all together, but
Hey TikTok, it's Alan Walker.
she would keep me from seeing them all together, but a lot of those times I would go anyway and just decided to deal with the consequences when I got home. Whether I was leaving with or without her permission, there would be a time limit.
no abuse is not abuse.
Wow. Listen, and this is what triggered me. The audacity. It's look at me, guys. This is what I said. This is a reaction. It's she wants all the attention on herself. Why? Because she sees Beck has hit 100K subs. Not bought for and paid for. And she sees all the views. Just like anybody else that's very successful. Again, she's so miserable in her own skin and her life that she feels the need to attack anyone and everyone at this point, because she knows that she's going to get a reaction. And, we all know she loves the drama because it gives her this content. And it, too bad for you, Foodie Beauty. A lot of people are just sick of you in general, so you're not getting the views you think you're getting anymore.
You don't know what the fuck I went through with that guy.
And here's what makes me upset too. You don't know what Beck actually went through that she's not saying. It's hard enough to say what she is saying on her videos. You don't know what to say. Because you're lying. Like I said, you may have gone through a few things, and I'm not saying Beck went through worse. She went through, it's all the same. It's all bad. The problem is, she's trying to make it to the extreme, to make it seem so extreme because she wants so much sympathy and pity and attention on her.
He literally put put out cigarettes on me. He punched me in the face. Did I ever say he beat me? No, I never said that. I was never beat.
Oh, what? What was... Well, I stand corrected. Or do I? Or was I right? It never went that far. Moron.
Never. He withheld my keys so I couldn't leave. He emotionally segregated me from wanting to do friggin' therapy on myself. So what did she do? Financial abuse? How? She was paying Beck's bills.
Stalking, by the way, is psychological abuse. If some people didn't know that.
So I never wanted to be in the vlogs or vlog myself, but she would hand me the camera and be like, "You're vlogging today." And if I said I didn't want to, she would say, "Well, you're working for me."
I could not imagine a worse lifestyle than that. Like, what? I gotta be forced to work, quote unquote, work for you. I gotta make a video for you. This is essentially the abuse that Foodie Beauty's facing now with Salad the Grapist. Basically forcing her to stay on camera. Remember all those couple times? And do you think he doesn't, again, have a hand? As much as he wants to seem like a nice guy, he's just trying to clean up his image, okay? Because he's very much on hands-on with this whole her eating on camera and going on to the restaurants and gorging herself with McDonald's and Hardee's, and even his family at this point. Honestly, like I said, I think that they've cut him off to a certain extent because they don't want to be disgraced, their family name to be disgraced. I kind of feel like they do what Foodie Beauty's family does, as was mentioned in Yaba's chat. Yaba actually, or was it, who was it? I don't know who said it, but, it was stated that, oh yeah, it was, matter of fact, Yaba did say it, that Foodie Beauty's family's like, oh yeah, Salad's such a great guy. This is what they say to her. I think the same is being said to Salad to make him feel a little bit better. But then that would knock the original theory that I had put forth, that this is all a scam to begin with, and that she was promised something and he was promised a citizenship and there were papers signed. And technically, I mean, I still kind of believe that. So I don't know. I don't know. But one thing's for sure. Family is, it's just hard to tell where the family stands on this. But I'm sorry. Salad is definitely involved, though. That's what I meant to say.
And what she meant by that was she was buying food, paying the bills, and I had to earn those things. But meanwhile, I was taking care of her the whole time.
She was paying Beck's bills. No. Physical abuse is way worse than having to wipe someone's ass. I'm sorry.
This is a very important topic. Let's talk first about defining this emotional, psychological abuse.
Well, first of all, let's make it very clear. Emotional and psychological abuse, Owen, is domestic violence. It's those invisible wounds that people don't see, and it looks like deception, manipulation, verbal threats, isolation. So there are a myriad of things that show up when we talk about emotional and psychological abuse.
Now, is it that Foodie Beauty really wants to stay in as much as she used to go out? Or is she actually being held captive by Salad? As much of a deviant that he is. this just got me into thinking about that. Hearing that. I mean, I was going to simply let this play, but there you have it. I mean, there's the definition in itself. But, of abuse. But, wow. Kind of eye-opening, too. Foodie Beauty used to love going out, folks. You all know that. It's kind of interesting that all of a sudden not just because of her eating, but it's like she always had an excuse to not go out. Could it seriously be because of salad not permitting her? I think that's a very big possibility.
What are some of those effects on a person?
When we look at emotional and psychological abuse, we look at a perpetrator still exerting power and control over his or her victim, but we're looking at verbal threats. We're looking at put-downs. We're looking at things that we call gaslighting. Hey, you're crazy. That didn't happen to you. We're looking at things that are words and tactics to further shame or make somebody feel like they're less than, and the effects can be life-changing for victims. I mean, they could go through things for a lifetime like anxiety, depression, addiction. And we talk about something called the neurobiology of trauma, which is when something bad happens to you, it changes your brain chemistry. You lose agency over who you are, your decision-making abilities, how you feel about yourselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this is describing Foodie Beauty in a nutshell. As unhinged as she is and she acts, and how much her decision, wow. I'm telling you, salad's got more of a grip on her than we think.
But from what I remember, I didn't really feel like I was making a conscious decision. I just knew that I felt bad, but I wasn't sure what was causing it at the time. I was afraid to leave, but I was being pressured to take care of others, specifically Amber's needs. Even though I know now that I had a choice, at the time it felt like I didn't, and I will always regret that.
These can have debilitating, lifelong effects, and it's so...
Didn't Beck's mom beat Amber Lynn up? How do you know that, Evie, that she didn't want her to go to the hospital? She told Beck, you can't go see your own mom. I don't know. I highly doubt that.
And again, abuser behavior. What a sick, twisted freak she herself is. But at the same time, I mean, she's been abused herself. And, you know, what's real crazy is that a lot of times people will stay in these abusive relationships, and that's really sad. No matter all the signs, everything that keeps happening, nothing will ever change when you're in an abusive relationship. No matter how much the person promises it'll never happen again. Trust me, folks, you're better off seeking help. That's your best bet. For yourself, for your family, for your safety. Anyway, folks, this has been too heavy, I know. But for now, we must go. I gotta handle some daddy duties. My son just got home from school. So, I guess we'll see each other again soon. Y'all stay safe. Till next time.